With the Apologetics back again for our fourth installment of the passive run of Bioshock while doing apologetics. With us again, Kyle, Nakia, and Brosif is here again. We sure if we have enough time, Corey, you can tell them a nice little anecdote about how awesome it was to have me as a brother growing up.
Oh, well, that'd be a very short conversation.
Oh! Ouch! Ah! Alright, so let's orient ourselves real quick. Because every time I say I don't want to orient myself, and then I just immediately ask where we were and what we were doing.
Yep. Considering one of the themes of this is to dispel confusion.
Oops. I'm going to close these tabs too, just make sure it's... We have optional function, optimal.
Isn't that the one you respond to comments on?
Yeah, if they come up, we can have Kyle, or have someone else have it open. Oh, that's right. Okay, we're about to aggro some guys. So, the worst part is we're not going to be able to kill Big Daddy in, I don't know how long, because we're not going to be able to do it until we get hypnotized Big Daddy, or we can until we just get everybody to, unless we can get people to attack him, which...
Yeah, you're going to have some problems with that.
Yeah, so and that was bad too because I wasn't paying attention and I went to the Eve Garden earlier. I used my Eve upgrade on plasmids and not on plasmids, but not on health, which was bad because I don't really...
You need the health.
Yeah, you need health way more than you need plasmids. Oops. How do we get back to where we were?
You run around like a chicken with its head cut off for a little bit, and eventually you find it after about 4 minutes.
I don't even remember what we're supposed to do, though. Well, we haven't really done anything yet, though, have we? Okay, just start asking.
Okay, you want to go straight into your
Just
favorite?
ask. I only know of the one question, but I don't care.
That's what makes it your favorite.
Yeah, okay. Let's build up to it. Surprise me. Use the hangman's fallacy. Get it? Never mind. Some of you might get the hangman fallacy. Which I don't even think is a real... Okay, never mind. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is what we need to... Oh, that's right. We have to open this up. That's what I need to not do, is talk.
Is tangent?
Yeah. Tangential.
Okay. We'll go... No, you know 2 of the questions, because we're going to go into the second question that you know.
That's the hangman's fallacy. Never mind. Somebody can Google it later.
I will.
How can God be disappointed or otherwise upset with people/humanity
I did hear that one.
when he knew all of their actions and final outcomes before they were born? Can God be surprised?
Well, I mean, that's not a very good question. Can God be surprised? No. But that's not really what's at issue.
No, they just had to type something in.
So what is at issue is, does God's knowledge of future contingents entail fatalism? Or basically, does it entail that human free will and human action is ultimately meaningless? Because if God knows what you're going to do, then he knows how you're going to act in this way, and therefore there's no reason for you to act in any given way. At first it seems somewhat troubling, but I actually developed a thought experiment to explain this. I'm glad you brought this question, because I love... Did it freeze? Oh, it did. Uh-oh.
It's giving you extra time to answer the question. Oh, no, it's gone.
But look. Okay. So... Yeah, so I developed this thought experiment for this very thing. It was actually, I was reading Augustine, A Free Choice of the Will, and I was reading Confessions too, and it was a mixture between those. I don't like saying that there. There's actually a mixture between those Augustines that I developed this thought experiment, And what it is basically this idea that suppose that there's a security guard and he is in his booth, and as he is looking into his arrays of security cameras, he notices that one specific camera is broadcasting 5 minutes into the future. So he kind of becomes enthralled with this video. He's like, how did it get here, and what's going on? But then he starts to wonder what would happen if I go down to this hallway that sees 5 minutes into the future? What would happen? So as he's thinking this, he looks on the monitor and he looks up and he notices a woman. And this woman, she walks down the hallway and then goes into the door all the way to the left. So then obviously his curiosity has piqued to a further degree, and he says, well, now let's see if this is legit. Let's see if this really is 5 minutes into the future. And so he runs down to that hallway. As he gets to that hallway, he sees that woman, sees her walk down to the end, and then walk into the door all the way to the left. Now the issue is did him knowing that she would walk into that door all the way to the left, did that entail that he forced her to do that, or that her choice in doing that was meaningless or fatalistic? And the answer is no, of course not. Just because God has knowledge of future contingents or how we might act in a given situation, it doesn't entail that our actions are contrived or forced. We still have the free will. So that's my response to that. It's a pretty simple thought experiment. I haven't really had anybody successfully refute it before or even place criticism on it. I'm sure that there are some guys who are some hardcore metaphysicians like my buddy Andrew who could probably refute that. But I think for our purposes, I think that answers the question really well. What do you think?
The only thing I could possibly is just a power difference.
It's definitely a power difference, but it's... Oh, come on. Oh, wrong button, that's why. Oh my gosh.
You got it. It's fine.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I agree. And then the question is, too, people will bring up, and I thought this is probably the best rebuttal I've heard to the question is, well, what would happen if the security guard interrupted the woman? Or what if the woman were to walk down and go into that room, but in that room it's filled with tigers? So is the security guard morally obliged to go in there and say, hey lady, that's the tiger room. Don't go in.
Don't go in the tiger room.
Don't go in the tiger room. Now, as a human, is he morally obliged to do that? Yes. But is God morally obliged to do that? No, he's not, because he is sovereign over life and death. But that gets into a whole other series of issues with the problem of evil. It's like, well, if God had the power to prevent evil and suffering. I remember Dr. Fernandez was in a debate, and this was right after the Oklahoma City bombing. And if it had been like right after 9/11, he would have used this as an example. And the atheist asked Dr. Fernandez, he said, if you had the power to prevent 9/11, but not 9/11, the Oklahoma City bombing, would you do it? And Doc said, yeah, I would. And so the guy was like, okay, so then you are more moral than God. He said, no. He says, I'm not more moral than God, but I'm also not as smart as him. See, it's interesting because in order to say that a God should act in a given way, the only way that one could be justified in that is if he had the same amount of knowledge as God. Or think of it this way. If someone said to you, hey, you should have, driven your car here, you are morally obliged to do it, and they say, well, wait, I couldn't, the person could say, I couldn't drive there during this time due to these circumstances. And then once that was explained, then it would make more sense. When it was explained, when you had the same knowledge of the person had, and that they didn't act, then you were in a sense justified. you understood their justification. But the problem is, and this is not an appeal to ignorance, or this is not an appeal to we don't know the mind of God. You got to remember, though, anytime you're dealing with a being of infinite knowledge, it is impossible for you to say to a being of infinite knowledge that that being was never justified in thinking a certain way, because the only way you could say that is if you yourself had infinite knowledge. Okay, now I'm going off on too many tangents. Let's move on.
You want to go off on transworld damnation?
Oh, really? Okay,
No,
yeah.
No.
That's a good one. As I've been developing it takes me like 25 minutes to explain this argument, though.
Yeah, that's why I was going to say.
No.
Oh, wait, scripted kill. Scripted kill?
Yep.
Yes.
This is where you fight the dude with the mask, and you can't use any of your weapons.
Why?
Because he makes you fork him over.
No, I have weapons right now.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, it's wait till you go inside.
Oh, he hasn't let you inside yet?
No. After
Oh,
he's
that's right.
like, I'm not letting you in. There's splicers out there.
That's right, yeah, then, that's right, yeah, it's after that, yeah.
Splice or no splicing.
You know-
Anyway. No one.
Dead or alive, you're
gets
coming with me.
The Explorer reference.
I didn't get the explorers or explorer. I think maybe you just put Corey.
No one
Dead or alive, you're coming with me.
Dead or alive.
Okay.
Oh, the Deadpool movie. Oh,
No.
Remember, if you hack those medkits and they try to use them, it'll kill the bad guys.
oh, it does.
Yes.
I didn't know that. I just destroy them.
Yeah. If you hack them and they try to fill themselves up, it automatically kills them.
What?
How did I not know that? And I've been playing this game for so long.
Well, it took me, for honesty, it was like a couple of years ago when I was playing through it for like the 20th time. That's how I discovered it too. So it's
That's
not,
legit.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, because if I need a med, then obviously I'll get it. But you're better off hacking it, because it's, unless you're like really in source need of something, because otherwise it benefits you more the other way, because you can get your health filled up.
Yep. Okay, next one is now we're going on to the problem of pain.
Look, I didn't have to kill her. That was cool. She just ran away. Sucker.
Well, you have to take pictures of her now.
Yeah, I know. Well, he gives me this first, but I don't do it yet. I have to get something else first, and then he lets me in.
Yeah, you have to go take pictures.
No, I don't. I don't have the camera yet.
Yes, I know, but this is what you're going to go do. You go and get the camera. I'm pretty sure this
He has the camera.
Oh, I thought this was the part where you.
No, yeah, he's the one that lets you in to get it.
Ew. Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Yeah, because then yeah. Anyway, so problem of pain, and not referring to C.S. Lewis. It's why is there pain in the world at all? And omni-God has no limits on its means to achieve.
Oh, omni-God means omnipotent.
Yes,
omnipresent.
all omnis.
Okay.
The only way it could be limited if it's logically impossible for some end to be achieved without certain means. Omni-God only desires good ends, so what good ends are only possible if pain exists?
Oh, that's a good question.
Here are the answers.
I didn't even. I like just reading the titles, because if I only read the title, then it doesn't allow me to respond fully. But
We don't know their constructed thought.
yeah, but I like that.
Yeah, I didn't read the intro on it either. I like that. I just skipped his answers. His first answer that he's heard posed by a theist, which is really the only reasonable answer, is pain is necessary for the good of alerting us when our bodies are in danger.
That's the right answer.
His rebuttal is there could be a non-painful alert system, or there could be a system where you feel some initial pain, and then once having knowledge, the pain, you have the ability to turn off pain signals.
Okay.
So he's just like,
All right. I have a response to that, but I want to hear what you said. There's multiple.
there's multiple answers. I mean, just shooting through them.
Just go through them real quick. I want to hear.
Pain allows for the existence of people comforting each other when they are suffering.
Okay, so that's a second order good. Now, second order goods are good, but they're not primary. So it's like, no one's going to say, man, I wish bad things would happen just for the sole reason that I could comfort someone or that I could show someone compassion. But
Next answer falls into that category too.
Oh, second order
Pain
good?
is necessary for us to appreciate the good. They're all follow that vein for the most part. Pain is necessary.
How is that different from the last one?
It's not.
Okay.
Pain is necessary because it purifies us and makes us
No,
less
that's
sinful.
stupid. Okay, do you know what that is? That's an argument. No one has ever made that argument. And the only people that have ever made that argument is like some quote-unquote skeptic that's like, oh, I suppose... It was like, what, Dan Brown? And
Yep.
It was like, oh yeah, they wouldn't give women pain meds when they were giving birth because they wanted them to suffer the first pain, the original pain of their sin. It's part of their punishment for their sin against of eating the fruit of life. You know, because God says you will have great pain during childbirth, and so Dan Brown said that there was people who would never minister meds to pregnant women who are giving birth because they would be breaking the curse. So that's just ridiculous. It's just skeptics being like, oh, I'm really smart.
Yeah, building theories that never exist.
Come on, come out with the RPG boys.
Next is pain is necessary because it will make us appreciate heaven much more.
That's dumb.
Pain is necessary because mysterious ways.
No, that's worse.
So back to the first answer, the correct answer.
That's it. Those are the only
Those are the only options. Those are the only responses to why pain exists.
Oops, you hit me. I did not hit you. You hit me. But however, in you hitting me, it did allow for a static shock, which eventually hit you. I should lure him down to the water, let him hit me, and then it'll multiply the... So I gotta start busting out the plasmids too that increase the electricity, because then I could start doing I could do some serious damage with that, couldn't I, if I put on the multipliers?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the one, like I said, the one you need to get the most is the automatic bot controller, the one that you throw the thing at it, then it can automatically.
That's the second one. The dart gun, the hack gun, that's
No,
Bioshock 2.
no, not the dart gun. It's an actual plasmid that you get.
Oh yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, the control security.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
That one. That's going to be important.
We have mines. I hope nobody runs into the mine. Okay, I'm sorry. So mind your step. Oh, you're horrible.
Sorry, I had to.
Okay, so back to the first one. Oops, another RPG there. Oh no! The Rosie Riveter got it.
One of his examples is passing kidney stones is generally not a threat to the body at all, but it's one of the most painful experiences.
That's actually a really good argument.
Address kidney stones, Matt.
So his idea is basically this notion that could God have created us so that when we are experiencing pain, maybe we feel it like a slight pinprick, only enough to alert us that pain is occurring. He says, well, why didn't God do that? Or why didn't he just say, maybe we do feel something more than a pinprick, maybe we feel something like a punch to the face, but then after that we can turn off the pain and there's no pain because it is enough to recognize it's done its job because we recognize that there's pain. So I have two responses to this. I think the first response is I agree with the overall premise that pain is basically God's way of saying something is not right. Now, the more we hear something is not right, the more we know that thing is indeed wrong. So the more pain we feel, the more we know that that's a deprivation of the way things should be. Dr. Guyvid, in his book on evil, he actually used this as an argument for the existence of God due to the existence of pain. I'm trapped.
Yep. He put you in a corner.
He did. No, nobody puts baby in a corner.
You're timed out now,
Bunny in
man.
a corner.
That's what I was thinking.
Really? Oh yes. Shoot him. I dare you.
You might build a duck under it.
Come on. Why don't you hit the big guy that's the size of a
Oh,
house?
there we go.
So
That's it.
he argues that it was just a really simple syllogism. It was something to the degree of pain exists and is a departure from the way things ought to be. If there is a departure from the way things ought to be, we know that there is some way that things, ought to be. If there are some things that there are some things that ought to be, well, those can only be, and metaphysical or ontological or complete ought is if there exists some independent from reality ought giver, which would be God. So I didn't explain that very well. Someone could look it up. And do you remember the name of his book on evil, Kyle? Have you read it?
No.
Okay.
I know it's on my list of books I want to get and read.
So I would say that it basically tells us something is wrong. And the more pain we feel, the more pain we know it's wrong. So I think I'm explaining his answer to a little bit further degree. Now, the question is, should we have the autonomy in order for us to say something like, or to have the ability of, okay, yeah, I agree with you, we shouldn't feel this way, and so God should have given us this ability to just not feel pain once we know it exists. Now, the reason why I have a problem with that is it's giving us a level of autonomy that humans were never meant to have. Can you hack this one, Corey?
No, that's one. I think that's the only one that you actually can't hack.
Well, it's not living, ergo no. I can't kill it. Ergo vis-a-vis concordantly ad hoc propter hoc.
Yeah, that's...
I can kill it.
Yeah.
Philosophers like to say therefore, so we have 1,000 different ways to say it. Okay. So, what was I talking about? I was talking about evil, pain.
You're talking about evil again, Matt.
Dead or alive, you're coming with me. Anytime I need to study, I'm just going to quote a movie. Quote some 80s movie.
There you go.
What was I saying, though? Nikia, this is where you come in.
I think train of thought on that one might have been thoroughly...
Yeah,
no.
it was like...
I remember it now. So, my response is, God never created humans to be completely autonomous. Why when the Lord's Prayer, why did Jesus say, pray, give us this day our daily bread? Could he have said, could God have accomplished this? Could God have said, pray for like an everlasting gobstopper that is uber nutritious, that if you eat this everlasting gobstopper, you will never hunger and thirst again.
Sir, give me this gobstopper.
Yes, give me this. I'd like some more, please. So could God do that? Yes. But that would also make us have a level of autonomy that is not meant for humans. Now, he does eventually give humans that level of autonomy in everlasting life, where either in heaven or hell, there is that, in a sense, that level of everlasting gobstopperness where you don't need to eat anything or drink anything, you can still continue. But for life on Earth, we are meant to be contingent creatures. Contingent creatures are meant to not have full cognitive or full access to all faculties. And
rebellious contingent.
Exactly, we're rebellious nonetheless. I also wanted to say too, and this is the last thing. What was I gonna say? Oh, that's right. There's like 100 bots in here. Yeah, we're never meant to be completely autonomous, and I forgot what my point was after that. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to add to that?
Nope. We covered that from like 3 different angles. And I think at the same time it raised several questions that need to be answered too.
What did we raise that needs to be answered?
Well, just more going into it deeper.
Yeah.
More so they can go in a few minutes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so I would just say that's my basic response, is that we are meant to be contingent creatures who need God to survive. Oh, I know what I was going to say. To a degree, though, we do have that. Our body does react naturally. It has natural painkillers. It has, no, don't kill him. We want him alive more than we want you alive. The body does produce natural painkillers. So it's like God does everything that this person asks for, but just not to the degree that this person wants it. He wants it to be like, if you
if there's a God, everything should be perfect.
Yeah, and he's like, well, no, listen, I'm creating you so that, yeah, if you do experience pain...
What's the second story of the Bible? People messing it up.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And that's true, and, you know, we did have that before the fall. That's another good point, Kyle, is that pain itself and evil is a product of human free will. It's basically because we chose to sin. Now, whether we're no, I'm not going to get into...
Okay. We're just going to move on to the next one.
Look, I showed self-control.
25
Okay. Left, or we've gone?
We've gone 25 minutes.
Wow.
So, this one's a little bit of a different one. I've never heard this before.
Okay. Am I going to like it or not like it?
You're going to facepalm a little bit.
Okay.
I think it depends on the mood you're in.
Okay.
So, title. Enoch and Elijah performed effectively the same miracle as Jesus. According to the Bible, Enoch and Elijah are the only two people God took to heaven without them dying. Think of the references. Doesn't this somewhat diminish the significance of... Now, they don't understand the significance.
No. Okay,
So
this is perfect. I was actually explaining this to... I wonder if I should get into that. So, I don't know. So, are they saying that Enoch and Elijah were resurrected?
No, and they actually explain that. They say, doesn't someone diminish the significance of Jesus coming back from the dead and descending to heaven? Enoch and Elijah did the same thing, but they skipped the middleman on death.
Oh, you mean they skipped the most impossible part that defies the laws of nature and science and
and
everything we know?
They go into something that's kind of a separate issue that they go into now is... it also contradicts Hebrews 9:27. It is appointed for a man to die once, and after that comes judgment. Apparently, it wasn't appointed for Enoch and Elijah, or Lazarus. He died twice. Or all the saints that walked out of their graves.
Why do you think Jesus cried after he raised Lazarus from the dead? He knew it was a stopgap. The reason why Jesus cried after he raised Lazarus from the dead was he said, all I did was put a Band-Aid on man's biggest problem.
What does it say on the grave that is potentially Lazarus's?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know that?
No.
It says there's this grave that's supposed to be Lazarus's, and it says...
I don't believe any of those. Because it's so much of Israel, now it's all marketed.
Well, it's not in Israel, because he supposedly went somewhere, was the bishop of it.
Oh.
But it says, here lies Lazarus, friend of Jesus, twice dead.
That's awesome. I like that. So, let me say this. So, I think this is an issue of... I was explaining to Nikia earlier the importance of... Give me something.
Oh, there you go. Get it.
Whew. I was explaining her the importance for us to clearly be able to define and defend what a miracle is. And so, like, for example, I was talking to this guy the other day, and it was such a beautiful day out, and the guy is a really nice guy. He's a Christian guy, and he says, look at this mountain. It's a miracle. I was like, that's not a miracle. And he was almost like, he thought I was like slapping him in the face. And he said, well, what do you mean it's not a miracle? I was like, well, if that's a miracle, then what's a miracle itself? You can't claim that the natural world isn't itself a miracle, because if you claim the natural world is a miracle, then you can't define what a miracle itself is.
Philosophers taking the fun out of everything.
So here's the example I usually give. I say, suppose that let's say a friend of ours, Bob, died 4 days ago.
Oh,
Poor Bob. What about Bob? I'm sailing. Oh, I watched that movie the other day. Oh, it's so good. I'm sailing. I don't know if you know this now, but I'm a sailor. So, and I say to you, you know what? What is going on? It's been 4 days. Bob hasn't gone through the natural process of being raised from the dead. What is going on? And you say, I don't know. Sometimes it takes 4 days. So let's just give him some more time. So my point is that if resurrections were a naturally occurring phenomenon, we would not give them a second glance. We would just think, oh, that's the grass growing. That's gravity. That is the ebb and flow of the tides. It wouldn't have a miraculous aspect to it. But if it didn't have a miraculous aspect to it, it wouldn't be as significant. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the ebb and flow of the tides or mountains and all these things are not beautiful and are miraculous in the sense that they were created by God. But if we call them a miracle to the same degree as that we would call the resurrection, then the resurrection is not significant. If people regularly died, stayed in the grave for 3 days, only to get up and be like, all right, sweet, let's do this, then it wouldn't be significant for Jesus to do it. But the very fact that Jesus...
Hey.
What?
Cam.
Oh, I got the camera. Yeah, but the very fact that Jesus did do that, it's huge because it showed, it confirmed his message, and his message was this: I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man comes to the Father but through me. I am superior over even life and death itself, over the temple, over the law, over all your contrived man-made religious edicts. I am bigger than all of them, and I prove that I'm bigger than all of them by taking the most taking the most concrete notion of life and death, is that when dead things are dead, they stay dead, and proving that I am bigger than that, even that concrete notion. So does that answer his question? I mean, I might have not answered his question only because the question was bad, but I think I answered a better question instead. Do you guys agree with that?
Now I'll bring up, so you kind of went into, we know it's a miracle because of its rarity type.
Oh yeah, then why would he even bring that up then?
No, I mean, saying you did.
Oh,
Now he's going to bring up a point that is going to try and
Rarity.
contradict that. Is what about all the saints that were raised from the graves? Matthew 27:53.
okay. So even if so that itself is a rarity. I have to get that plasmid here, right? Because they can't come back up. That's what I was trying to think. Because I almost jumped down. No, I think it's still have at any other time besides this moment shown anyone else raised from the dead, including Jesus. No. So then you have a group of people that did it as well, and I think all that does is confirm in I gotta use this one. All that does is confirm the power of Jesus, because it's basically showing this is what I am bringing to the world. I am bringing the ability to conquer sin and death and the grave, and it was showed that way by having the saints being raised from the dead.
It's a picture included with the message.
Yeah, thank you. See, this is why we keep you around, Kyle. You bust out that stuff. How many questions?
That was 3 questions.
Okay, let's try and get one more at least.
I want to try and get one more.
Yeah.
Let me pull my phone back out.
So I'll make it I'll make it a shorter one, but that doesn't.
It
always
all
work
depends
out
on my
that way.
response. Yeah. So this is the one you're talking about, right, Corey?
Oh,
Yes.
I'm glad we got this one.
so this one has a pretty long explanation on it, but I'm going to summarize it. It's asked from an atheistic perspective.
So do I ever have to? Oh, I do have to hack it. Okay.
Without an afterlife, is life not ultimately pointless from a personal perspective? Again, this is asked by an atheist, not an asked Christian either, it's just on debate religion. And their point is, I mean, basically they're getting into the...
Absurdity of life without God.
Yep.
Yeah.
And their conclusion is essentially, that's just how it is.
And it's true, and that's what Nietzsche, that's what he argued. He admonished people because they killed God, and like how Doc explains it is like you're throwing a guy off a bridge saying we want nothing to do with you, and that guy is God. You throw God off a bridge, and then once he's dead, you start going through his pockets because you want to hold on to some of the things that only God can bring towards the table. Now, what are the things that only God can bring towards the table? Only God can bring significance of life. Only God can bring justice. Only God can bring objective reality. But you need all of those things in order for... I don't need anything here, so I'm not going to hack it. You need all those things for life to flourish. You need justice. You need absolute truth. You need objective reality. But all those things are forfeit without God. And so he says you cannot say that you have purpose and are an atheist at the same time. It's impossible. I mean, think about it this way. You have 2 guys. They are twins, and they separate at birth. Age 12, one of the twins dies from a heart defect, falls down dead, enlarged heart, something, I don't know. The other lives for 100 years. So you got 88-year difference. 88 miles an hour! 88-year difference between the two. Now, after 4 trillion years of oblivion, is there a difference between that 88 years between those two men? I mean, even after even after 500 years, if there's no record of him.
Yeah, and he brings that point up specifically.
Oh, he does. I like
Yeah.
this guy.
And then in the end concludes that honestly the most logical explanation seems to be the atheist one, that our existence is completely and utter accident.
Yeah, you can claim that as long as you don't want to live consistently with that. Who was it that said, was it Cavendish said that the only question the atheist has to offer, or the only real question that the atheist should ever bring to a philosophical table is, why don't I kill myself?
Yep.
I mean,
It's harsh, but it's
true. True. It is the natural conclusion to the question. If all life is futile, then living for 80 years before futility and oblivion is no different than living 5 years into futility and oblivion.
You'll remember nothing.
Be nothing,
Will
are
not be
nothing.
remembered. Everything turns to dust. I'm just gonna.
Dust in the wind.
I'm going to conclude with this. Reading
All
the
we
first, or part of the first response given to this guy, largely depends on your viewpoint. If you're talking long term, then yes, life is pointless. If you're talking short term, then life absolutely isn't pointless.
I don't think it's like
I'll just
the
end on that.
Inugumatori meme. You keep using that word. I don't think you know what it means.
36 minutes.
All right, 36 minutes is good. All right, cool. And we made progress. I think I only died, what, twice?
You died a little more than twice.
Okay, we're going to go with twice, though.
It may have only been, I think, maybe 5-6 times.
Okay.
Being generous.
Get him. Get him, little choppas. Get him, choppa. Look at that. Hey, can I do anything right now? Is there any way I can stun them?
No.
No,
Oh, I can. I can, if they... I'll stand right next to them, and then hopefully that'll aggro them to hit me,
Or you'll just.
which will kill me. But if I was alive, it would do the static shock. All right. This is Corvus with Apologetics. Keep fighting the good fight. We will see you guys next week. Until then, take care, and God bless you guys.